Welcome back to It Resolves, where we play a new deck every single day. Today's deck is Izzet Spells. What is going on, everybody? Yes, it is finally time. We are here with Dominaria United officially. We get to jump into this amazing new set. I am beyond excited for this. I'm going to do the best I can to get as much content out for you guys as possible. I don't want to miss a day, and so I'm going to be pre-recording a little bit. We may even replace the collection update video just to make sure that we've got as much gameplay going up as possible, just so you guys can enjoy this new set and we can enjoy it really together. I think this is going to be a really fun one. Today's deck is Izzet Spells Matters. This isn't a deck that I have built. It was on just like an article online of decks to try, so I apologize. I don't know who actually created this list, but it's amazingly fun. It is a Spells Matters list, so what that means for us is we get to feature some brand new kind of top-end spells from Dominaria United, including Tolarian Terror, which costs 1 less to cast for each instant or sorcery card in our graveyard. It's a 5/5. It also has a ward cost of 2, so it's a little bit difficult to deal with, which is amazing. And then we've got the new Djinn from the set. For 3 mana, you get a star 4. Flying, it's equal to, the power is equal to the number of instants and sorceries in the graveyard, and it cheapens up all of your instants and sorceries by 1 generic mana, which basically just means like almost all of them cost 1, which is kind of insane. We do have Galvanic Iteration here to copy some needed spells as we go through. We've got Lightning Strike, we've got Play with Fire as some burn opportunities. We've even got Fading Hope here. One other creature that is kind of a blast from the past, we've got Malevolent Hermit here, which is a phenomenal card. Really enjoy this. Some of my favorite new spells from the set, we have got Impulse, 2 mana instant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom. That is huge. Guys, you don't understand how 4 cards for 2 mana. You get to see 4 cards. That's massive. Cheapen that up and it's only 1 mana, which is kind of ridiculous. We do also have Founding the Third Path. This is a very good all-around card for us. It allows us to play a spell from the hand on 1. On 2, we can mill 4 cards, so it's going to really fuel the graveyard for the later big pieces. And then we can actually replay some of those instants or sorceries as we need to. And then, of course, we've got Consider and Fading Hope here in the 1-drop slot as well, featuring a couple of new lands. Shivan Reef is in here. Thran Portal is also in here. And I really enjoy this deck, guys. I'll just be honest. I've been playing it a little bit just to test. Holy crap, is it a blast. We are not going to waste any more time. We are going to jump right in to Dominaria United. I am so stoked for this, guys. Let's do it. This is our first deck. Let's see what we can do. All right, guys, and here we are for game number 1. I am actually going to keep this hand. While I don't actually think it's a very good one, I do think it's worth holding on to here. We're going to throw this out for red, and that does allow us to open up this Play with Fire play, which seeing red on the opponent's side of the field is why I wanted to leave this available, because, again, they're probably going to be something you should know, is that in the early stages of any given new rotation, new format, anything like that, it's relatively common to see quite a large number of just aggro-heavy decks. That's not uncommon at all, and so generally this is just kind of how it goes. I guess we should have actually thrown the Thran Portal out here, but that's okay. All right, so they are going to get in for an attack. This is definitely going to be a very rough matchup for us unless we can fuel our graveyard a little bit here. Let's first attack in, because I don't think we're going to plan to block here. And we'll just play the Djinn. We are kind of dealing ourselves damage with this Thran Portal. This is kind of an interesting card. It's a really nice way of like fixing your mana, but I don't know how much I actually like it. I haven't really figured that one out yet, so I'm gonna unfortunately just take 5 and hope for the best here. Let's go ahead and consider. I think we throw that in the graveyard, as much as I don't want to. All right, let's throw land out here. I think we're going to end up considering again. We actually really need to just be able to deal with this primal adversary, and there's how we do it. That's fantastic. I do think it's the adversary that we deal with here. We do have to deal 1 to ourselves, unfortunately, but I think that's okay. I don't think we can attack here. So we really don't have a whole lot of momentum on the board. They obviously have a lot of ways to deal a lot of damage. So at this point in the game, we really just need to make sure that we are stabilized as much as possible. We were able to deal with that adversary though, which is kind of nice. Would love to have been able to deal with the Stormseeker, but I think that was a better call to deal with the adversary. It looks like they can't actually do too much this turn, which is great. All right, let's do this. Definitely gonna Impulse first. One of the things to note is that getting cards into our graveyard is hugely beneficial for us for a multitude of reasons. First and foremost though, it does power up our Djinn here, of course. So it is very helpful for that. We'll throw this out for red. Unfortunately, not really gonna be able to use it here. Let's get an attack in for 5. We do need to start dealing damage now that we can play another Djinn. Very interesting they didn't play anything last turn. I'm wondering if that's just because they wanted this to flip or if perhaps they just didn't have anything else. But I think getting this other Djinn out here really is going to pressure the opponent to need to kind of do something. Sure, they can Abrade, that's perfectly fine. We actually can replay this later on if need be, and this does flip back over. So now it is back to a 2-3. Which is phenomenal. We do have a couple of burn spells in our hand. Worth noting, we do have to take 1 damage to use them, though. We have to keep that in mind. However, keeping in mind as well, every instant or sorcery in our graveyard now equals 2 extra points of damage. So there's actually quite a bit of benefit to potentially throwing some things into our yard here. So let's go ahead and do this. Oh, that's very good. Yeah, I actually think we'll pull that. Let's go ahead and play with fire. We're kind of forcing the issue here, so the idea is basically just to put them in a position where they've got nothing on board, they've got no hasters, and there we go, we win, guys. That was amazing. Perfect. Let's see if we can keep it going. Let's jump into game 2. This month's Patreon rewards features some of the most impactful Lotuses in Magic's history. Check out all the details and sign up at patreon.com/itresolves. All right, guys, here we are for game number 2. Let's definitely keep this. We've got a couple lands. Again, Shivan Reef, little tricky for us, but what we'll actually do is just kind of lead on the island. We might be able to just sculpt our hand with this Otherworldly Gaze, and I think that's exactly what we're going to try and do here. So, let's see. Is this Esper Rafine? Potentially. With that in mind, I'm actually just going to throw these 2 in the graveyard. I don't need a ton of land to make this deck work, and so this is actually relatively easy for us to manage. So let's do this. We will start on 1. That's one of the new mechanics here. The read ahead is that you can actually just jump ahead in the grand scheme of things and actually jump to any particular point on the saga. We don't want to do that this time, but it is a really cool little mechanic that we're able to handle. Cool. We do mill ourselves here because we are trying to fill up our graveyard as much as we can. We get to, I guess, just throw out the Benevolent Geist here. And that's kind of it. We don't really have a whole lot else we can do. We're not drawing super well this game, but again, this deck does a relatively good job of just kind of managing the expectation of, like, if we need to sculpt our hand a little bit, we've got the options. Not anymore, but we do actually have removal options for this, and I'm okay to discard things because we kind of want to discard things. So truthfully, this doesn't bother me as much, which is kind of nice. Sure, they can attack for 4. I'm just gonna take that. Not gonna overstress about it. Yeah, all right, so we will do this. We'll go ahead and copy it. We'll auto pay, and I think pretty clearly we should get rid of, I think it's just a play with fire, honestly. Not a very exciting turn, I know, but that does kind of help us out a little bit. We can go ahead and attack in, and now if they do manage to crew the Bankbuster, we can actually just Fading Hope it, or just kind of wait it out and see what they do. So not, again, drawing super well this time, but hopefully we can get there. This Graveyard Trespasser is an extraordinarily good card against us, worth noting. Okay. Land I'm not actually all that upset about. That's pretty good because we do want some lands. I would really love any of our heavy hitters, like the Djinn would be awesome right now. The Djinn measures up quite well with things like Rafine, which is kind of cool, so we'll see. At some point, we can consider just hitting them with a Play With Fire just to get that scry. So that is worth noting as well. Okay. Yeah. Liliana of the Veil is here, guys. Absolutely awesome, awesome card. Okay. I think we just do this. We don't have any other pressure, and so truthfully, this is kind of important for us to be able to do this. And now we actually can just Play With Fire the Liliana here, and make sure that she is gone. We do have to pay a life to do it, of course, but I'd like to make sure that Liliana is not in the mix. This is certainly a card we don't love to be against here. Okay, they counter it. That's actually not the end of the world for us at all. Let's go ahead and do it again, and just see. We do have to take some damage, of course, but now we actually can Malevolent Hermit just to counter something, and then play it on its flip side if need be. So we'll see what they have to do. That we cannot counter. Okay, that's definitely a scary card. We do have the burn to technically be able to kill it at some point, but we are not there yet. I'm gonna end up taking 4 here, unfortunately. Ugh, okay. So this actually does help us a little bit. So I'm pretty happy with this. We'll start it on 1. Play this, shoot it. Do this, shoot it. We're dealing all kinds of damage to ourselves here, but we are trying to manage some very powerful things. This Esper deck got so much better. It's such a good control deck now. Or mid-range deck, I suppose, is a better way of phrasing that. Man, so good. Okay, so they're just gonna draw a card here. They do have 4 mana available, so they could just play basically anything they want. I will counter this. Little underwhelming, I get it, but I think that that's perfectly reasonable. Do we want to mill ourselves or do we want to mill them is the question. Normally I would say ourselves. I guess we'll stick with that. But there were 3 of our best cards. That's really unfortunate. I think we mill all of these. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and play a Benevolent Geist, and basically we're in hope for the best territory, guys. We have milled our best cards. That's the only consideration, is whether or not you mill yourself in that scenario, I feel like. Generally that is the case. I think you always would want to mill yourself. However, sometimes things like that or positions like that lend you to thinking maybe it's better to mill the opponent. I think that was definitely a case where that might have been a better option. Ooh, okay, that's super nice. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and throw that one out there. And I will just play a Benevolent Geist. And again, we basically just have to hope they're not gonna pay the ward cost on the 5/5. I'm assuming they will. But now we do at least have 2 threats, so, okay. So they are gonna pay the 2. They take 2 to do it, so they're at virtual 10 with our Geist out, which is something. All right, let's first Otherworldly Gaze. Would really love a good card off the top. Okay. Both of those are relatively good cards, so I'm gonna keep them in this order. And we will attack in here. All right. Damage for 2. I'm gonna hold the Otherworldly Gazes. I don't think we need to run those quite yet. This is scary because they're gonna get their little guy. That's fine. Maybe it would have been better if we didn't attack. So now they can attack in, then if they want, sacrifice the 1/1 with the right. of Oblivion. That's a possibility. I don't know. They've got options. Not feeling too good about this one, guys. I'll be honest. We've managed to hold our own surprisingly, though. I will say that. We have managed to keep ourselves in the game, which is pretty amazing considering the deck that we are up against here is just removal heavy. Yeah. All right. Sure. Cool. They didn't play anything. All right, we're just gonna throw out the Djinn and pass. Because we have to have blockers. This isn't really gonna be good for us though. Yep. So I'm trying to think what the best possible outcome is going to be for us here. I shouldn't necessarily auto pass, but we do take a damage to use the Otherworldly Gazes, so I'm not sure that that's going to be worth it. We do know our next card is Lightning Strike, so maybe that will be worth it. We'll see. I do really like this deck, though. This is a blast. This Djinn is such a sick card. Okay. Can't really do much about that, so we're just going to have to take it. I'm assuming they crew. They could have actually won, I think, this turn had they Rite of Oblivions. So crewed during main phase and then used Rite of Oblivion. I think that would have worked, but that's okay. We take one to try and kill this little 1/1. All right, let's Otherworldly Gaze. Let's do the best we can. We should technically wait on this, to be fair. Definitely throw that in the graveyard. And we'll keep that. All right. Here's to hoping we don't die. We can't spend our red mana, which is less than helpful. So, here we go. Oh, bad tapping too. So technically speaking, it would have been much more beneficial to have tapped this for generic. Ah. All right, they got us here, guys. Unfortunately, could not make it out of that one. That's okay. We held our own. Again, I'm pretty happy with that. We have time for a game 3. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, here we are for our final game here. Really hoping we can get there this time. We've got a lot of card draw, and these impulses make keeping a 2-lander just so easy, especially with this kind of deck. So definitely just going to keep this and hope we can get there. If we get another basic land off the top, we can actually go Founding into Impulse for free, which would be really sick. They're going to Jack-o'-lantern? Have not seen that card used potentially ever in Standard Constructed. I think we toss that. I don't think we want a Fading Hope at the moment. And there we go. We got there. All right, so the question becomes now, do we just play Malevolent Hermit or the Impulse? I do like having the Malevolent Hermit out. Now, obviously, we can't utilize this turn, but it does cheapen up the next turn for us a little bit in terms of not investing the mana into the creature and then also into the sacrifice. And so I feel like this is probably okay. We do also have that red mana, which is nice. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Definitely just going to start on 1. And we'll go ahead and cast an Impulse for free. Ooh, lots of good options. I do think we just take the Djinn. Seems pretty straightforward to me, and we'll just pass. All right. Interesting. Okay. Really don't love the Faithbound Judge. We're gonna need to deal with that in some capacity. We do have the Djinn can kind of attack through, which is quite nice, because it does outpower this, which is good. They're gonna destroy that. I actually don't know that we care that much, do we? Or do we just counter it? I think we'll counter it. Just to be safe, I'd like to make sure that we can mill as much as we can to get this Djinn as far up the line as we possibly can. I think that's probably for the best. We did mill a lot of really good cards, unfortunately. Again. All right, let's definitely throw the Djinn out. And I think the play is just going to be to Impulse again. Interesting. Yeah, we'll take a Lightning Strike, I think. Alright, so they are going to get a counter here. Don't love that, of course. We knew that, but it just kind of sucks. Junji, wow. Okay, sick. So I think it's just the Fading Hope. So we can Fading Hope here. No, I think it's this. All right, let's Fading Hope the Junji here. All right. Let's see. Let's do this. I'm gonna throw the Malevolent Hermit down. And you know, I think I will attack in knowing that we've got the Lightning Strike available before this thing can really start doing any damage. May not be the best idea. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, got it. Okay, cool. So now my assumption is they're just gonna replay Junji, which is perfectly reasonable. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not loving our chances again because we're finding ourselves in a position of just having a lot of little guys, you know what I mean? The removal is so good in this format. Ugh, we're learning that the hard way, unfortunately. Really. I think we let that happen so that way they take two. Seems kind of odd, but that's fine. Whoops. Tap it for blue. So that way if they do play something else, we've got the mana for the Hermits. I mean, I doubt they do, but just in case. We'll take the red, so we do have the free red mana available. Yep. So we can utilize that blue mana, and at least now we keep the Benevolent Geist on the field. Not really ideal, of course, but it's something. All right, let's Otherworldly Gaze first, just so we kind of have an idea of what's on the top. I'm gonna throw both of those down so we can Impulse. Do this, and put red on it. I mean, I think the play is pretty clear. We're just gonna play this, attack, hope for the best. Really don't love our chances again here. Kind of unfortunate. I really love this deck, but I feel like we are floundering on the power level. I think this is definitely showcasing the power level of Standard right now. It's amazing. It's really, really cool. Okay, so they're just attacking for 5. I'm actually just gonna pass. Not gonna worry about this yet. If they have a removal spell, they have a removal spell, but I think we need to stay in that damage race at least a little bit. If there are 3 more, okay. Fair enough. Yep. Let's Impulse. Maybe we can get something. That sort of helps, right? I mean, it's not great, but it's something. So we attack for some, and then we will pass. Okay. So really any of these. All right. I was really hoping they would play something pre-combat, but this helps a little bit just to stave things off. And potentially, I mean, I assume they just replay it. Yeah, they're gonna meat hook for 2. Ugh, man, what a beating. We are just getting owned. That's okay. I mean, it is what it is. This is a very good deck, and it doesn't even really feature any of the new cards, does it? No. I'm curious as to this Jack-o'-lantern, as well as, truthfully, the Repel the Vile. Like, that seems a bit awkward. Maybe there's something we don't know about, but... I mean, it's good against enchantments, I guess, so there's that, but... Definitely throwing that into the graveyard. I think we have to take the Djinn on top to allow ourselves as much room as possible here. We don't have to hit the play with fire quite yet, but we are just going to lose to the Sinner's Judgment. I don't think we have the time to race this, and unfortunately we don't have interaction here. We did have the land, but I felt the Junji was more important, not knowing that they had Meat Hook in hand, because I did want to kind of get in for as much damage as possible just to race that. Unfortunately it didn't work, but that's okay. All right. Cool. So this gets a third counter and we die. Fair enough. They got us, guys. That was a really interesting game. All right, let's talk about this deck. All right, so Izzet Spells Matters, our very first Dominaria United deck. We are most likely going to revisit this deck at some point, guys. This is an out-of-the-box version of the deck, which just means that there's, I mean, none of us have had the opportunity of playing with the format yet. And so to see as it shapes out and things like that, where this deck actually lands is going to be very telling. I do think there's a lot of other considerations for cards that would work in this deck, some new, some old. And so I would be interested in revisiting this. Regardless, the play patterns here and the payoffs here are incredibly good in my opinion. The Tolarian Terror, great, difficult to deal with, at least slightly. And then of course the Djinn, very powerful, very good enabler and evasive for only 3 mana. That's pretty awesome. So all in all, guys, I love the start that this deck is proposing. Really curious to see where it lands, and I'm really curious to keep moving forward and trying new decks in the Dominaria United format. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, our very first look into the format, and it was a blast. So thank you guys so much. Only one win, but you know what? That's okay. We got to start somewhere. So we will hopefully see you guys tomorrow for some more decks, and potentially more than one. We'll see. But regardless, guys, I really do appreciate it. I love you all. Have a fantastic day.